A chilly dawn broke over Elon Musk's Texas mansion, the kind of quiet that feels too still. 3 plain trucks, no names, no signs, rolled up the driveway like shadows. By noon, half his life was packed away gone. No cameras caught it. No one tweeted it. The world's biggest dreamer had slipped away like a ghost. Where was Elon Musk going? The answer will shock you. Elon Musk, the man who builds rockets, dreams of Mars, and tweets ideas that shake the world. But behind the headlines, he's a dad, a thinker, a guy who can't sleep when big questions burn in his mind. Lately, those questions weren't about space or cars. They were about something deeper, something no one saw coming. He's been different, his friend Jake said over coffee. Quiet, like he's carrying a secret he can't share. Neighbors noticed it too. The guy who used to wave from his Tesla was now walking alone at night, staring at the stars. Mansion in Austin was huge glass walls, sleek furniture, a view of the city that screamed success. But it felt empty. Elon's footsteps echoed in the halls. His son, X, played in a room full of toys, but his laughter didn't fill the space. Flashback to a year ago. Elon and X on a camping trip, just the two of them. X, with his messy curls, pointed at a deer in the woods. Dad, can we live where animals are? Elon laughed, but that question stuck. Back in Austin, the city's buzz meetings, phones, cameras drowned out X's voice. Elon felt it. His son was growing up in a cage of fame. He wanted more for him. Something real. Something free. The move was so secret, even Elon's team didn't know. He just said he needed a change. His assistant, Mia, whispered to a coworker. Didn't say where or why. The trucks left no clues. No fancy moving company logos. Just plain. White vans, driven by quiet workers who didn't chat. Neighbors peeked through curtains, confused. Elon's gone? Mrs. Carter muttered, clutching her morning tea. Tech blogs started buzzing. Was he building a new factory? Hiding from trouble? The world wanted answers, but Elon stayed silent. As the last truck vanished down the road, a single photo fluttered. To the ground, a picture of X holding a tiny plant, smiling wide. Elon picked it up, his face soft but determined. He wasn't running from something. He was running to something. But what kind of place could pull the world's biggest visionary away from it all? And why was it such a secret? Stick around. The truth is wilder than you think. The trucks rolled into a dusty Montana valley, far from city lights. Elon Musk's new home. A creaky farmhouse, surrounded by endless fields and silence. He'd traded his empire's roar for this quiet dream, a simple life for his son. But the moment he stepped inside, the dream cracked. A leak dripped through the ceiling. The walls groaned in the wind. This wasn't a fresh start. It was a fight waiting to happen. The first blow came fast. The farmhouse's wiring was ancient. Lights flickered. Outlets sparked. It's not safe, the electrician warned, shaking his head. Needs a full rewire. Weeks of work. Elon's jaw tightened. He'd planned to set up his satellite office here, keep his companies running. Now he was stuck with no power, no internet, no way to work. Worse, X wandered the cold rooms, his excitement fading. Dad, is this really our house? He asked. Voice small. Elon forced a smile, but inside, doubt churned. Had he made a terrible mistake? Then came the neighbors. Not the warm welcome Elon expected. City folks don't last here, grumbled Hank, the grizzled farmer next door, eyeing Elon's Tesla. Winter's coming. You ready? Elon wasn't. The well pump broke, leaving them without water. The nearest store was an hour away. And the roads turned to mud after rain. Flashback. Elon in his Austin office, commanding teams, solving problems with a snap. Now He stood in a barn, staring at a rusted pipe, helpless. For the first time, the man who built rockets felt small. X's bedtime stories turned tense. Elon's voice shook as he read, his mind on the growing list of fixes he couldn't afford to fail. A cryptic letter in the mailbox hinted at a bigger problem. "You don't belong here." It read, unsigned. Elon's heart raced. Was it a prank or something darker? He hid it from X, but the words burned. Late at night, he sat on the porch, the Montana stars mocking his dreams. He'd moved for X's freedom, but what if this place wasn't safe? "I can't fail him," he whispered to himself, fists clenched. Anger flared, then fear. The tech world was watching, waiting for him to crack. Rumors swirled on X. Musk's lost it. He's hiding something. Elon felt the walls closing in, his vision of a simple life slipping away. One stormy night, the power went out completely. X shivered under blankets, scared. "I want to go back to Texas," he cried. Elon held him, heartbreaking. He was ready to give up, call the movers, admit defeat. Then a knock at the door. In the rain stood Hank, holding a lantern. "Heard you're in trouble," he grunted, but his next words froze Elon's blood. "There's something you need to know about this land. What secret was buried in this lonely valley? And would it destroy everything Elon was fighting for? Don't move, the truth is coming." Rain pounded the Montana farmhouse, a relentless drumbeat against Elon Musk's fading dream. Inside, darkness swallowed the rooms, no power, no heat. Elon sat on the floor, X curled against him, shivering. The anonymous letter's words echoed, "You don't belong here." Elon's hands trembled. He'd moved to give his son freedom, but this valley felt like a trap. The man who'd conquered space was losing everything. Exhaustion carved lines into Elon's face. Days blurred fixing pipes, hauling water, dodging neighbors' wary glances. Nights were worse. Sleep fled as he replayed X's tears. "I want to go back to Texas." His body ached from hauling wood. His heart ached more. Flashback. Elon, years ago, sketching rocket designs, eyes alight with purpose. Now, his notepad held repair lists, each task a reminder of failure. "I can't do this," he muttered, staring at the leaking ceiling. The world mocked him. X-Post screamed. Musk's meltdown. He'd gambled his son's happiness and lost. Giving up felt like the only way out. Hank's warning about this land gnawed at Elon. That night, he searched the farmhouse, desperate for answers. In the attic, under dusty boards, he found old papers of deed, faded letters. One mentioned a curse tied to the valley, a family driven out decades ago. Superstition or truth? Fear gripped him. Was this why the well failed? Why neighbors whispered? X's cough grew worse in the damp house. "Dad, are we okay?" he asked, eyes wide. Elon's voice cracked. "We will be." But he didn't believe it. He was ready to pack, flee, admit defeat. The dream of a simple life lay shattered. Then, a faint glow caught his eye outside. A lantern bobbed in the storm. Hank stood there, soaked, with a toolbox. "Thought you'd quit by now," he grunted. "But you're still here. That counts." He handed Elon a worn photo. A family in this same farmhouse, smiling, planting a garden. They stayed through. "Worse," Hank said. "You're tougher than you look, city boy." Something shifted in Elon. The photo wasn't just history. It was proof. People had fought for this land and won. X stirred, whispering, "I like it when you don't give." "Up, Dad?" Elon's chest tightened. Maybe this valley wasn't a curse. Maybe it was a chance dot as dawn broke. Elon stood in the muddy yard, X's hand in his. The rain had stopped. The air felt new. He wasn't alone anymore. Hank's gruff help, X's quiet faith, That old photo, they lit a fire in him. The farmhouse wasn't broken. It was waiting to be rebuilt. But those attic papers hid one last secret, a truth about the land that could change everything. Would it save their new life or tear it apart forever? Hold tight, this story's far from over. The Montana farmhouse creaked under a moonless sky, its shadows thick with secrets. Elon Musk clutched the dusty attic papers, heart pounding. The words about a curse on this land burned in his mind. X slept downstairs, unaware, his cough softer now. Elon's hands shook as he read on, each line pulling him closer to a truth he wasn't ready for. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. What had he brought his son into? The papers told a story buried for decades. A family, the Carters, had owned this land in the 1940s. They'd thrived until strange accidents started. Wells dried up. Crops failed. A fire took their barn. Whispers of a curse drove them away, but one letter hinted at more. It's not a curse, it read. It's sabotage. Elon's breath caught. Sabotage? He flipped to a faded map, marked with an X. Near the valley's edge. A hidden spring, the land's lifeblood. Someone had poisoned it to ruin the Carters. Was it happening again? The broken well, the sparks, the hostile glares, it wasn't bad luck. It was a plan. Elon stormed to the barn, flashlight slicing the dark. He followed the map's path, boots, sinking in mud until he found it a rusted pipe, half buried, leaking a foul, oily sludge into the ground. His stomach churned. This was no accident. Someone was poisoning the land's water, targeting him and X. The anonymous letter flashed in his mind. You don't belong here. It wasn't a warning, it was a threat. Hank's gruff voice echoed, This valley's got history. Elon's knees buckled. He'd moved here to protect X, but he'd walked into a trap set by someone who wanted him gone. Who? Why? Rage surged through Elon, hot and sharp, his fists clenched, knuckles white. He'd fought governments, skeptics, gravity itself, but this felt personal, a betrayal of the dream he'd built for his son. His chest heaved, his eyes stung. Not my boy, he growled, voice raw. Flashback, X's smile, holding that tiny plant, trusting his dad to make this work. The thought of failing him was unbearable. Then clarity hit. This wasn't just a billionaire. He was a father. The land wasn't cursed, it was targeted, and he wouldn't run. Empowerment surged. He'd built rockets. He could fight this. Elon stood, mud-streaked, resolve hardening. He'd find who did this, test the water, trace the sabotage, expose the truth. No more hiding. He marched back to the farmhouse, X's photo in his pocket, a reminder of why he'd stay. As dawn painted the valley gold, Elon made a vow. He'd save this land, for X, for their future. But a shadow moved near the barn, a figure watching. Who was behind this plot? And how far would they go to drive Elon out? The fight's just begun, don't look away. The Montana Valley burned under a crimson sunset, the air thick with danger. Elon Musk stood at the edge of his farmhouse yard, clutching a water test report. The results confirmed it. The hidden spring feeding his land was laced with toxins. Someone wanted him gone. X's cough, the failing well, all part of their plan. Tonight, he'd face the saboteur. If he failed, he'd lose everything. X's dream, their home, his promise. The stakes couldn't be higher. Elon's flashlight swept the dark as he tracked the rusted pipe toward the spring, heart hammering. Footprints in the mud led to a clearing there. A figure crouched, pouring liquid from a canister into the water. Stop! Elon shouted, voice raw. The figure spun, face half hidden. It was Carl, Hank's nephew, eyes wild with greed. This Land's worth millions, Carl snarled. You city folks ruin everything. He lunged, canister swinging. Elon dodged, mud slick under his boots. The spring bubbled nearby, its poison spreading. Time was running out. X was home, breathing air from a tainted well. Failure wasn't an option. Carl charged, shoving Elon against a tree. Pain shot through his ribs, but X's face flashed in his mind. Those trusting eyes, that tiny plant. Not my son, Elon gasped, surging forward. He tackled Carl, fists flying, desperation fueling every move. The canister clattered into the spring, its contents glinting like venom. Elon's hands shook as he pinned Carl down, breath ragged. Doubt clawed at him. Could he save the land? His vision blurred exhaustion, fear, rage. Flashback. X laughing. In the garden saying, "You never give up, Dad." That voice anchored him. With a final heave, Elon tied Carl's wrists with rope from his pocket, heart pounding. But the spring still ran toxic. Elon staggered to the pipe, hands bleeding, mind racing. He'd built rockets, surely he could fix this. Using his flashlight, he traced the pipe's valve, twisting it shut with every ounce of strength. The flow stopped, but the damage was done. Tears burned his eyes. Had he acted too late? Then, a Soundhank's truck roaring up, headlights blazing. Saw the fight, Hank grunted, tossing Elon a shovel. Dig a new channel, clean waters deeper. Together they dug, sweat mixing with mud, Elon's desperation turning to resolve. X's future hung on every shovelful. The valley seemed to hold its breath. A gush of clear water broke through, sparkling under the stars. Elon fell to his knees, relief crashing over him like a wave. The land was saved. X would be safe. Carl's plot was exposed greed for mining. Rights had driven him to poison the valley. As Hank hauled Carl away, Elon looked at the farmhouse where X slept. He'd faced his darkest fear and won not for fame, but for love. The Montana sky glowed, a promise of new beginnings. This was home, fought for, earned. What's next for Elon and X? Their stories just started. Stay tuned. The Montana dawn broke soft and golden, washing over the farmhouse like a quiet promise. Elon Musk stood by the freshly dug spring, its clear water gurgling free of poison. His hands, still raw from the shovel, trembled with relief. Prompt. Carl, the saboteur, was gone, his plot exposed to the town. X ran out, his small face bright, unaware of the battle won. "Dad, can we plant carrots today?" he asked, tugging Elon's sleeve. The weight of the fight nights of doubt, the fear of losing his home melted in that moment. Elon was no longer just the rocket man. He was a father who'd fought for his son's future. The valley had tested Elon in ways no boardroom ever could. He'd arrived chasing a dream, a simple life for X, free from fame's glare. But the creaky farmhouse, poisoned water, and hostile whispers had nearly broken him. Flashback. His old life in Austin, surrounded by screens, his son's laughter drowned by calls. Here, in Montana's dirt and struggle, Elon found something new. Strength, not from wealth, but from love. "I thought I knew what mattered," he told Hank over coffee, voice low. "This place showed me. The land wasn't just saved it, had saved him, teaching him to fight for what couldn't be bought." The farmhouse glowed with life now. X's cough was gone, his days filled with school, garden dirt, and chasing fireflies. Prompt. Elon worked from a makeshift office, but evenings were for stories and starry walks. Neighbors, once wary, became friends. Hank brought over seeds. His sister, Lila, taught X to bake bread. The town buzzed with change. A new water system, funded by Elon's quiet donation, secured the valley's future. He's one of us now, Lila said at the community potluck, where X proudly shared his carrots. Elon's heart swelled, his old ambitions fading against this simple joy. He'd gained a home not just for X, but for himself, a place to behold Dot as summer faded. Elon sat on the porch, X asleep inside, a drawing of their garden pinned to the fridge. The stars above shone brighter than any city skyline. He thought of the trucks that brought him here, the doubts, the fight. What had he learned? That success wasn't rockets or headlines. It was X's giggle, a neighbor's nod, a life built on love. The world still watched, but Elon didn't care. This valley, this fight, had shown him what he'd been chasing all along. What's your fight for? What's your home? Under Montana's endless sky, Elon held X's drawing close. The man who moved mountains finally at peace, knowing home wasn't a place, it was the love you'd bleed for.